wanted to play Allison because it's always interesting as an actor when you go into an audition and you haven't read the full script, and it's very rare and kind of incredible when you have these 8 pages of dialogue that are completely out of context, but it feels so real and it feels so like you understand who this person is. And so when I read it, I mean, I just felt like she was in a position that's very rare and not normal life for most people, but there was something still so relatable about her emotions. Tom McCarthy is an incredible writer, and Noé and Thomas are also amazing. So I knew the script was going to be phenomenal, but what stood out to me the most is there are so many juxtapositions in the film. It's kind of like a fish out of water idea of this guy who's from Oklahoma, and he kind of has no idea even how to say bonjour to some degree, and he's in Marseille trying to get his daughter out of prison, and there's so many beautiful elements to it, but the setting is much prettier than what's actually happening in the film. But I liked the fact that the writing didn't feel forced at all. It was very, when you read it, it's like you're reading a real conversation, like a transcription of a conversation. And as an actor, that's what every actor kind of dreams to get to work with. Stillwater is about a guy named Bill Baker, who is just a man trying to do his best, working his oil rigs in Oklahoma. And his daughter has been imprisoned at this point for 5 years, convicted of killing her girlfriend. And he comes to Marseille, and she basically asks him to try and help her become free. And along the way, he finds these 2 other women in Virginie and Maya, and forms almost a weird family unit there too. And he really is trying to redeem himself and his past actions as a father, and trying his best to get his daughter out of prison. And all the while, he's in Marseille, and she's sitting there just like he's her only hope. The movie really sheds a light on how small things that you do can have really, really large, lasting impacts, and also that, yeah, like you can see somebody completely different from the person standing next to you sees them, and that's what I like, is that you see Bill through a lot of different lenses in this film, and Allison as well. So it's kind of a spectrum of humanity to some degree. I did a lot of researching interviews with people who had been in prison, people who had been falsely convicted, and also I had the privilege of speaking with somebody who was in prison for something that they eventually were acquitted of. And just hearing that, and I think anybody can relate to the pain of if somebody lies about you, but this is just so magnified in such dire circumstances. So I did a lot of research about how isolating it is to be in prison, because I can't even fathom that. What I love about Tom is that he's always available. Like, if you have a question, which I'm a very questioning person, so it's always interesting to do an interview. But he knows everything that he wants, and he's so invested in it that we've just talked about everything from why her hair would be a certain color to everything ties in together, and it makes the character who she is. But he's really been great about just, I try to stump him, but he's unstumpable. Like, I ask him a question, he's like, well, I think if you look at scene 34A and you'll see this, he's amazing. He's probably one of my favorite directors I've ever worked with. Is that this is a very heavy movie, but you come on set and he's like, bonjour, ça va? Yeah, great. But once we get into the scenes, as an actor, you we're very indulgent people. And so when it's a very emotional moment, we want to kind of milk it ourselves. And he is just so great about giving you the space. Both him and Matsu, the cinematographer, they know that the movie is about the story and they want to focus on that. So it's really fun as an actor because you can just try anything. And what I love that he does is he always says, like, okay, we've got it, but do you want to do another one just for you? And I always say yes because I have to. And then I do it and I'm like, yeah, the other one was better. But he's really great at little details of the character. Bill Baker and Allison have a very interesting relationship. In some ways, they're very similar to each other, and I think that's what makes their relationship so strained, ultimately. But he comes to see her in prison, and I think, you know, growing up, he wasn't really there for her. He had an alcohol problem. He was a very religious guy. She was just more wanting to go the opposite route. She wanted to be more of a free spirit and more progressive. And after losing her mom, he was the only person, but he wasn't a great dad. So I think he's trying to reconcile that in some ways with her, but she just gets frustrated because she can't trust him, she doesn't feel. So there is a kind of awkwardness to their relationship, even when he comes to visit her, which you would think would be super exciting when you're in prison and somebody comes to see you, but there's a weird tension there, I think, and a lot of built up history. Working with Matt Damon has been incredible. He's a dad in real life of 4 daughters, so in rehearsal when I got mascara all over his white t-shirt, he was like, oh, no, it's okay, this happens. But he's just a really, you think Matt Damon, you're like, Jason Bourne, like action star. And he's just a sweet guy. He's like, let me go FaceTime my kids. And he also is really great as a scene partner and to act with because he doesn't, at his point, he's so talented and he's so well known. You would think there would be maybe some resting on laurels. I mean, I would be that way if I was him. But he's so committed to each scene and he's so respectful, and we have some of the most intense scenes in the film together in it. So every day for me is like very emotional, and he doesn't think he's better than anybody, and he just treats everybody very equally, and he's really just a great guy to work with, and obviously to act against is intimidating, but he's very collaborative, so it's been amazing. There's a sweet kind of awkwardness to Bill that I didn't really notice in the script, but when he plays it, it's very endearing in a way, where you think, there's a lot of times in the movie where you could think this guy is just a jerk, but there's something very endearing about the way that he plays it and him trying his best to be somebody he's never had to be before. So I think that he adds this sweet edge to it, which is really nice. When I started working with her, she's just gorgeous, always smells good, fun fact, is really, really nice. And with Virginie, she plays her so soft and sweet, but it's not like she's this damsel in distress either. She has her stuff together, and she's a tough chick. I mean, but she doesn't have to prove it. And I love how she plays it, and working with her is just incredible. She's truly a brilliant, brilliant actress. When I watched her, I was like, I was definitely not this good as a child. I was just not. She's so focused and she takes direction so quickly, and it's like watching a little professional. Like, she's playing around hopscotch and like jumping around, talking about her dogs, and then all of a sudden she goes into the scene and she just is so natural and she ad-libs, and I'm like, you're 8, like how are you doing this? So I wish I could work with her every day. Yeah, I had to learn a lot of French. When I got the movie, they asked me if I knew how to swim and if I knew how to speak French. And I said, I know how to swim. I can learn French. Kind of underestimated how difficult the French language is. So there's really important scenes that I speak French in, and I've worked with really great tutors. Julie has been on set with me. I had a woman in LA named Frederique. And everybody on set really was helping me and trying, and working with Camille helped a lot. When I first came here, I didn't realize how much the city was a character in the film and how much it would impact my performance. So even just being here and seeing it, there's a lot of young people. I mean, obviously it's a city, but my favorite location I think that we filmed at was at the Calanques. So beautiful. I mean, the water is just absolutely stunning. But the architecture here is very interesting because there's so many forts that were built, and I, for one, love the graffiti. That's my favorite part of the city, and I think it's what makes the city so gritty and kind of just a total odd place for Bill to be in at any moment. For this particular film, you can almost form like a community because everybody's rooting for different people at different times, and you're like, no, I think it'll open up a lot of conversations afterwards. If you go get dinner or something, like, did she do it? Did she not? Did he have a part in it? So go see it in theaters.
What did you do?
You just have to trust me.